This is take 4 of talking about video game addiction. I wrote a script talking about video game addiction along with some research, but I felt like that wasn't really genuine, and I felt like it would be better for me to just talk about my experiences. So apologies for the lack of structure in this video, and by doing numerous tries I figured out that I was talking way too much about personal things, and hopefully this video gives you guys the tools of battling addiction, whatever that may be, and through sharing how I coped with it, maybe it will help others. So let's first talk about my experience with video game addiction. So ever since I was 10, I was really addicted to browser games. There was a game called Tanky Online, Roblox, Animal Jam, Club Penguin, Pop Tropica, and many clip games that I really enjoyed playing ever since I was a kid. And a funny story about Animal Jam was that that's where I first learned about being aware of making your password not 1234566. I had a lot of achievements in terms of pixelated items that I truly valued, and it just disappeared in matters of seconds. And the person who stole it, I believe it was like a woman character, because the woman character was standing beside me, and when I went onto my brother's account, which I created, I went up to my virtual character, and then my brother's account also got compromised. So there's a little lesson to be learned there. I struggled a lot with addiction, especially when I was moving. So from freshman to sophomore year, I moved from a majority white high school to 60% Asian high school, and that shift was really hard for me. I was moving from host family to host family, and to adapt to a new environment was really hard. But one thing I was constantly doing was playing video games, and that was where I found purpose and meaning. And I was also consuming a lot of the content that was related to like video games I was playing at the time. I was playing a lot of FPS games, and I'm glad I didn't really get too into League or in any of the MMO games, because those are also really maybe even more addicting. But during my sophomore year was probably one of the worst times, because I was performing really bad in terms of academic. I didn't really care. But even though I wasn't succeeding in real life, I felt as if I was succeeding in this virtual world that I could go back to. Especially in FPS games, there's a multiplayer feature, and that sense of achieving something, a victory, or getting a certain pixelated item, it meant a lot to me. And I didn't really recognize that I was addicted until I was getting out of it. But to those who are struggling at the moment, I really feel for you, because it was a very lonely fight, and I felt like I had no control, and I failed numerous of times. I would constantly try to uninstall whatever game I was playing, whether it be on my phone, whether it be on my computer. I would uninstall but reinstall. It was like a habit of its own. And at times I couldn't control. I wanted to sleep. I was sleep deprived, but I couldn't. I was anxious in social places when I didn't have my phone, when I couldn't get that dopamine inside me. And this repetition, it felt normal for me at the time. I didn't know that it was impacting my life so severely. And the hardest part about addiction is relapse, going back to it, because it's like engraved in your body. You see a cue, and you do it because you know you're gonna get a reward. It's very simple, but and your body may be tolerant, have a tolerant level to it, but it needs it. It needs to experience that, whatever the addiction may be. And for me, that was video games, and that's why I fear it so much. And what really helped me out was my little curiosity ever since I probably was maybe around 10 or even younger. I knew that I wanted to do and be something, but I didn't really know why. And even when I was addicted, I felt like there was more, there was something more, but it was forgotten. There was just layers and layers of chaos and just life in general. But I had to slowly remove and shovel the layers to get to my little flame, where I ignited the little flame of curiosity and will to change. That would probably be the biggest factor that helped me. There's a myriad of factors of coping with addiction. This is probably the biggest for me because I had an innate desire inside me that I wanted to change. While struggling with this addiction, I had countless of relapses. Years after years, I wanted to kind of stop playing video games and do something else, but I found it way too easy and comfortable to go back to video game addiction because it was like home to me. It was an escape of reality and all my responsibilities. And I felt just warmth, some type of warmth that the real world wasn't really providing for me. And what really fears me is the fact that I wanted to, there is no one solution for video game addiction, in my experience at least. I've tried watching videos, I tried, just uninstalling and trying to replace it with habits, but it would only go for so long. But it was the self-experimentation part and the self-will to want to change that allowed me to kind of shift and create this version of me. This took years to make. At least 5 years of work, because I recognized that I wanted to be different and stop playing games. But I didn't really act upon it. There were so many times where I just gave up after a month, after 2 months, 3 months, maybe even in a year, and then I would go back to who I was. It was so much easier. What really matters is that you have a will to change and you experiment. Learn from videos, learn from articles, whatever sources you have presented, and try it out for yourself. I don't think that gets reinforced enough, but in this day of age where distractions are so common, it's really important to really isolate and think for yourself and fuel your curiosity. And I hope some of this resonated. No, I didn't get to all the things I wanted, but hopefully in future videos I will. Thank you for listening. And if you want to change and make some actionable steps, then start from the forum down below in the comments. Talk about your experiences, and I hope that you guys can help each other out, and I'll be helping out as well. The first exercise that I highly recommend is getting a piece of paper and just writing down maybe even three or five desires, and just really exercise that vision and creating your why. It's not going to come easy. I don't have my exact why laid out, but I have a general direction, which is the opposite of who I was. So Also, if you feel like you're really stuck, then think of it as the bigger your suffering is, the bigger the journey, the bigger the peace it could possibly be. And don't really be grounded upon like where you are. I was very negative. I had a lot of resentment, a lot of animosity towards people who are privileged. But I was privileged as well. I was privileged. I just didn't take the opportunities, but now I am a little better, you know? So make sure you acknowledge your environment around you and make sure you stay curious and really protect that flame inside you of that curiosity. Everybody has a tendency of wanting to know more, and I really believe in that. Start change and revolution comes from within you, and you have to be willing to fight the game of life for yourself. We're going into a battle of boredom, and you must equip yourself with the right tools, and you need to self-experiment in order to get those tools and gather up more experience to battle and to conquer each and every single day. Alright. I hope some of this again resonated, and feel free to use the comment section as a discussion forum. Thank you for wasting your time with me, and I hope to see you down below. Peace.